Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to a Thursday day live stream. Currently speaking, Bitcoin sitting at $107,000 per coin, which is astonishing considering where it's been over the last couple of years. The fact that we have just been hanging around at these levels above, like considerably above $100,000 for the last 50 days. It has been a pretty good, just pure sideways consolidation for Bitcoin, a little tiny bit down. But yesterday we officially entered into the circle that I drew on Bitcoin's chart roughly 3 months ago. And to be completely honest, the answer to the live stream's title today, new all-time high for markets when alt season, I don't know that we're going to get the same type of alt season that we've historically gotten. However, if we do end up getting it, it will be towards the end of this quarter, end of Q3 in my opinion, sometime in August, September area, maybe early or late July. I have no idea. None of you guys do. Bitcoin dominance putting in new cycle highs here today potentially. We got some pretty aggressive closes yesterday on dominance. We are about to touch 66% of the crypto market being made up of Bitcoin. And if you go over to others, which is everything minus the top 10 in crypto, you can see that others are hanging around at the range lows. So hopefully in the next month or two, we see these come break to the range highs. And that will be indicative of everyone in the space making some money. So good morning, C90. Good morning, Beagle. What's going on, Raralis? Welcome in, Zaj. W's in the chat for C90. Already giving a gifted membership before the live stream even began. That is dedication. And I bet he liked the live stream, just like you guys should. We go live Monday through Friday, most of the time. Except for yesterday, because I was in the zone. I was cooking, and I did not want to get out of that flow state. So I canceled the live stream. Raralis here says that alt season will start either when Bitcoin dominance reaches 70%. That would be pure capitulation for alts if dominance were to reach as high as 70%. That would be a catastrophe for the alts market. Or when the Fed starts cutting rates, probably September. My guess is both will happen around the same time. Interesting. I like your thesis here. I don't actually like your thesis here. I don't want dominance hitting 70%. If we take a straight line to kind of give an idea as to when dominance might hit 70%, the current trajectory of Bitcoin's dominance indicates that we could hit 70% sometime in the middle of September, right? With that current trajectory, at least. If we kind of take the bottom of the range that we've been on and extend that out to 70%, it wouldn't be until halfway through 2026, you know? I think a good indicator, because we've been having these little sprints of alt season, right? When Bitcoin dominance gets very far away from the moving averages, it tends to come back down and retest the 200-day moving average. It did it back here at the end of 2023. It happened over here at the end of 2024, and potentially might happen here now or at the end of 2025. I don't know. But we've gotten very extended from the moving averages. And so seeing dominance kind of come back down and retest the lower end of this trend line that we've been in for the whole bull market, I think that is the only hope of some kind of an alt season happening. That makes sense? I think it makes a lot of sense. It's yeah, basically don't hold your breath for alt season. I will say though that ETH Bitcoin is definitely looking like it's trying to regain some momentum here. You can see we kind of had a pure capitulation moment for Ethereum compared to Bitcoin, which is basically the indicator of altcoin season and altcoin health. And then it made a bit of a rebound and is currently getting rejected by the 200-day moving average. However, it is very possible that we can find support here and put in the first higher low, you know, the first higher low for the cycle in Ethereum to Bitcoin. If we go out to a weekly time frame, you can kind of see the overall structure a little bit better. We came back down into this range, the purple bar range for ETH Bitcoin. So maybe it finally went home, as Ben Cohen says consistently. I know C90, you just posted in the Discord yesterday or the day before. I think it was yesterday. The Ben Cohen video he made where it was like this skit with his wife. I didn't watch it, but I know occasionally he puts those out and they are pretty funny. They're just different types of videos, you know? They're very different. But hopefully we can see Ethereum here kind of bounce here, right? Come back up. But even that, look at that. Even that little drawing that I just did on the weekly is already at the end of 2025. So that is all that I believe we have left in the market. I don't know that we go into 2026 with this. So hopefully that's not the destination that it takes. Hopefully it's something more along the lines of a quick bounce up to break and then maybe a bounce down in August. And then hopefully like that would represent one leg in the cycle. And then hopefully we get another leg into the end of the year to bring Ethereum much higher. I don't know that we do end up hitting, we might end up hitting the upper band here or the 200 week moving average, but it might be past the end of the cycle. You know, it might just be that Ethereum holds up a little bit better than Bitcoin does in the fall of the cycle. And that causes Ethereum Bitcoin to rip. Who knows? I didn't know that was his wife. I thought it was his business partner. I didn't follow him close enough, but that's funny. I'm pretty sure it's his wife. I'm pretty sure it's his wife. She occasionally will make videos for him, and they are little skits like that, which are pretty comical. Let's take a sip from today's sponsor. Water. Not sponsored, although it should be. I could definitely see that type of market formation happening, but it's going to depend wholly on if Ethereum here can hold that bounce that it is having this week. So on the weekly time frame, we had last week Ethereum capitulate with all the war stuff, and then this week it's rebounding pretty aggressively, but we need it to decisively break out above, I think, $3,000 per ETH if we're going to see any kind of semblance of that alt season happening. The same type of setup with Solana. Solana looking a little bit weaker than Ethereum. It did not hold the range, in part, I think, because it didn't have BlackRock and a lot of the ETF people buying into it. So Solana was not holding as strong. It came back down into this purple range and now is bouncing. I would love to see Solana break above the 50-day moving average here, or the 50-week, I guess, moving average here, and hold it decisively. Hold up here for a week or two and then continue the move higher to get back to those all-time highs. Yeah, I still like these markets can move really quickly. And so I still am in the boot camp thinking that Solana has a chance to break up to that $700, $800 range. But it's just going to take a lot of time. And one thing we don't want to see is the Solana Bitcoin chart breaking down like this. Right? We don't want it to repeat what Ethereum did. If you guys remember, I wonder if I can overlay ETH BTC here, a new price scale. We do not want Sol BTC to repeat what ETH BTC did. You can kind of see it. If you imagine for a second, this section on the purple line, I know it's kind of hard to see right here, but this section on the purple line being this section on Solana. So ETH BTC, Sol BTC, and then we saw a breakdown and we saw a breakdown. We don't want that capitulation to happen, right? Into October time, right? We do not want to see Solana bleed against Bitcoin like ETH did all the way down to these range lows again into the end of Q3. That would be a nightmare situation for altcoins. A little bit of hopium, though, for everyone is that the global liquidity supply continues to just go higher and higher and higher. It seems to be every week the global powerhouses, the global bankers want to just print more and more money. So liquidity is in the system. It is sloshing around to some extent. It's just not sloshing around in our altcoins right now, unless you're hanging on to creator bid. This is the 4-hour chart on creator bid. And we got a good sizable pullback here from that 14 cents all the way down to 10 cents, which was a 30% drop. And then we've seen subsequently a rebound of 23% back up to 12 cents for creator bid. I think that was the pullback I was expecting, where we got that cool off period for a couple days. We got a good cool off for creator bid for a few days. It came back down, retested that range that we've had on the chart for a little while here, and now is starting to continue on that uptrend. The market cap is just so much smaller than its main competitors out there that I don't think we have to worry too much about market conditions for this. I think bid will just continue to go higher in the interim here for at least the current market conditions. Hopefully we get some crazy blow off top type price action where we can see it quickly shoot up to $1 plus. I think if we can decisively get creator bid's token here in the next month or two to break out into price discovery mode, it'll be a quick chop up to $1. So that's your breakdown on creator bid there for you. So it's over, rip. No, not over, just not as cut and dry as other cycles, right? We know that Bitcoin moving up, even if dominance is moving up, it will drag a lot of the altcoins with it. It's just not going to be as powerful as if Bitcoin could go up while dominance went down. That's the pure form alt season. That could end up happening here just because of how extended Bitcoin dominance is. We see it's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're on the 7th weekly green candle for Bitcoin dominance. The last time we had it was back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had 9 weeks in a row back here at the beginning of the year where Bitcoin dominance just went straight up. And then we had a big fall for 2 weeks. And then we got now 7 weeks in a row. So if it were to repeat the same thing, we would have basically until July 4th where dominance is going up. And then we would probably have the second half of July being very bullish for our altcoins. So potentially that's what we see play out again. I do think dominance is very overextended at these prices. You can see the RSI is showing the same thing. Every time we've touched these overbought territories on dominance, we have had some kind of a pullback, which is alt season. It's just mini little tiny alt seasons. So we are set up good for one right now. And potentially a really powerful one, again, just because Bitcoin is chilling at basically all-time highs. So that's my 2 cents on the scenario. Bill, holding strong up here at a $500,000 FDV, a $250,000 circulating market cap. So Bill's chart looking beautiful. One of the best charts in all of DeSci, if I do say so myself. So I think that if we can get a good storm here where Bitcoin's breaking out to all-time highs while dominance is having a bit of a pullback and bid continues their monstrous charge here, I think Bill has some pretty quick price action to get back to all-time highs. I think by the end of July, we'll likely see Bill putting in new all-time highs. I know it's about a month away, but what is 1 month when you've waited 3 years for alt season? Now, the altcoins that we on this channel like to pay closest attention to are all seemingly in the DeSci landscape. And so we have a series of news pieces that I would like to go over with all of you guys. I'm curious how everyone else feels about this current market. Bitcoin is at a decisive point here where it needs to make the decision. Is it going to hold here and continue higher? Or are we going to have another capitulation because we did not quite get down to the 200-day moving average on Bitcoin? So what do you guys think is going to be taking place here? Do you think Bitcoin can make new all-time highs and start the next leg in this rally? Or do you think we come down to that $95,000 area, kind of hold that as support, and then continue higher? What is everyone feeling? Huge W for making the live. Let's go. Welcome into the live. Vibra Finance. Get it? Vibrations. Vibra. W Vibra. MG. Yo. How are you, my DeSci guy? Good to see you. Good to see you as well, MG. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Let's do a poll. We'll start a nice little poll here. BTC ATH question mark. Or let's do BTC next move. New ATH. Let's say 120K. I know that's way more than just a new all-time high, but let's just go with it. 120K I think will be the next little landmark that we try and get to. We might even push higher to like 130-ish, but let's just do 120 or retest moving average. Start the poll. We got MG saying a drop to 95K because July 9th is some deadly, or July 9th for the deadline for some volatility. So that's the trade deals, the tariffs. I think that we will likely just have that extended. It's just a game. We'll see though exactly what happens, but I would not be surprised if we just got that July 9th deadline extended because that's just kind of how everything goes. July rate cuts then shoot up to 135. So interesting take. I don't think we get rate cuts in July. I very much do not believe that we will get rate cuts in July, 34 days from now. What I do believe will happen though, I believe we stay with no rate cut again. However, I think the Fed decisively says expect some rate cuts next meeting. So I think we'll get the next rate cuts in September. Personally, I believe we'll get some rate cuts in September, and I think in July they'll forecast it to us. So I don't personally believe we'll get rate cuts in July. We'll have to wait. We still have plenty of time for data to roll out to change everyone's idea on that. We do, I believe, this Friday have the core CPI numbers coming out, or the PCE numbers, sorry, the Fed's inflation metric. And I believe PCE is indicating that the Fed's version of inflation is going to come down pretty aggressively in this next reading. So it is potentially setting us up to have rate cuts in July if that reading can come in super low, because the job data, the job market's been looking weaker and weaker and weaker, but it's not yet gotten to that point of pure capitulation in the job market. And so I don't know that we'll get them in July. But September, I think what happens, like I said, July, the Fed comes out and they're like, all right, we're not going to cut now, but we're going to cut in September. And that euphoria, the idea of the cut, is what sends us, right? I do not personally want to wait 34 more days, because that's not happening till the end of July, you know? So hopefully we don't chop sideways until the end of July. Although, if we do just chop sideways till the end of July, it is kind of interesting because that would put us right here at the bottom of the range again. So if we were to just kind of like continue this pattern that we've been in for the last 2 months, if we were to just continue this like this, maybe we get a little bit of, maybe we do eke out a little tiny new all-time high and then just chop sideways again until the end of July, and then we get that price action up. Who knows? I'm gonna actually invert this because I think that might be more realistic of what it looks like. Yeah, something closer to that. I don't know. I don't like that one. That one just doesn't feel as good. Something like this will cut out that first big spike. Maybe Bitcoin has a drop. That could be more representative of it. That might be more representative of the move that we get, right? A big pullback here, and then a big swing up again, and then capitulation into the Fed meeting. And then they're like, oh shit, rate cuts, baby. We can expect rate cuts in the September meeting. And so what we end up seeing after that is a crazy rally into the rate cut meeting in September. I hope not. I hope we can just go straight up from here, but I don't know. I don't think Powell has ever said he would do it in the future without saying he'll wait on data. Well, it'd be more along the lines of Powell coming out and saying, hey, we've noticed that the committee is getting a little bit more open to the idea of some economic easing, right? He's not going to say we're going to cut rates next meeting. He'd say something like the committee has now gotten more members who are starting to believe that economic data is indicating that things are starting to soften and that we've hit that soft landing, verbiage like that, where he's like, some people here are now believing that it might be good, that we might have successfully hit our mandate, things like that, and then everyone can start implying from that. June 18th, did we get the dot plot? This is still the March dot plot. One thing that's been interesting though, one thing that's been very interesting is the Fed's balance sheet here. If you zoom in to a year to date, it's not like since May, we actually have not had the Fed be taking money out of the system. The balance sheet for the Fed has actually kind of flatlined a little bit. Now it does this, right? It flatlined again back here in April, but this one does just look a little bit different. If you add that trend line to it, you can kind of start to see how it's not, like it's starting to break out a little bit, It's starting to look like some of the DeSci coins out there where they've just been bleeding for a bunch of months and now it's looking like it's starting to stop. So maybe instead of rate cut decision, they're like, we're going to end at QT, something like that, When moon, I don't know, moon chart. Let's look at the moon chart. You guys aren't going to like the moon chart. I'm just going to be honest. If you go look, we actually just had a new moon yesterday, I believe. So you guys are not going to like the moon chart here. But it is time for down season. So this last full moon was not that happy in the charting. This next new moon is when we usually go down. So for the next 2 weeks, according to the moon chart, we do have some negative price action ahead of us. So we will see how that actually ends up playing out. But for the next 2 weeks, according to the moon chart, we do have some downward momentum, which could line up perfectly with this, right? The little charting here that we did. If that's the case, I would expect dominance to continue for those next 2 weekly prints. Remember, if we were to repeat the same move that we had here, we'd have 9 weeks, so we'd have 2 more weekly candles of green on dominance to bring us up somewhere around 66, 67% maybe. And then we have that capitulation. And that's when I would expect alt season. But according to the moon chart, we got 2 weeks of negative candles. Sad to see it, but yes, Vibra. Do you know how the bid staking works? I locked up all my coins, then locked up / endorsed Bill and Aeon. Do I get rewards in all of them? Thank you. Yes, every 2 weeks you get a distribution of bid. So every 2 weeks, bid airdrops you some tokens in the vault, depending on the performance of you online, right? You got to be talking about bid. They want you talking about it to increase your lockup bonus. And then depending on the performance of the tokens that you have locked and endorsed. which is why you want to endorse some of the top agents, which is why it's important that Bill maintains his position as one of the top agents in the ecosystem. But you want to definitely stay endorsing. I don't want to show you guys all my stuff because I don't know what is allowed to be shown, but you can see some other people's dashboards here. People doing some expectation. What the heck? Okay. Yeah, this. So the user dashboard V2. So you can go in and see what level bid you're at and then see the multiplier based off that. You enhance your multiplier by the tokens that you lock up and endorse via agents, right? You also get the agent keys endorsement. So these two on the left here, you can just buy tokens and endorse Bill, and you'll get a very high multiplier for that. And then you want to talk about what you're doing on X, and they'll use Kaito to judge that. And then the buying volume, so the volume that you're doing with trading. Or I think it might just be the agent volume. I'm not totally sure on that one. But that all enhances your boost here, which gives you more bid in the bi-weekly drops. So every 2 weeks they drop bid. And with the new launches that will be coming up, the curated launches that they're doing, you get allocations into those launches. So you can buy up to like $500 worth of the token before it launches. So you get in on the ground floor for their curated launches. So hopefully that makes sense. It is definitely very interesting, something I would pay close attention to. And it is kind of the driving factor for why we're seeing bid go on this rally, is because of how much value they're trying to give out to the community to incentivize everyone to talk about them. So yeah, it's a beautiful stair-stepping pattern. And I think we will end up seeing some crazy price action on this. You guys are all probably eating nicely off of this right now. So hell yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some of the DeSci news now. First one up, we have no DeSci news at all. It is the US dollar chart. So another indicator that we do have a period where you could expect some altcoin dominance to emerge, because the dollar has been getting weaker and weaker and weaker. We just broke a pretty key support that was set back here in April on the dollar, which was that $98 area. We broke down below it, and now we're back into free fall. And literally just today, it looks like we've dropped $1. We've dropped almost $1 here today on the dollar index. Yeah, we're kind of in free fall territory. I would personally expect a little bit of resistance here around $96 on DXY, but we could see it fall straight down to this $93 area. Yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen here, but if you go look at the history of crypto and Bitcoin, whenever the dollar index is falling, we do get a good bull market. So we have the dollar index falling since January 2025. So this year, we've actually seen a 10% decrease in the dollar. That was very similar to 2022, I believe. No, February 2020, we saw Bitcoin go crazy. We saw the altcoin market go crazy as the dollar fell. Same as back here in 2016, 2017, dollar fell, crypto went crazy. Yeah, generally speaking, the idea is that as the dollar falls, the crypto market goes nuts. So hopefully we can see that continue to play out. I'm eating dirt. Damn it, Beagle. All right. My brain's a little bit scattered this morning, so bear with me through all of this. You guys can definitely see it in what I'm talking about. But we have traditional science funding model being broken. Basically, I wanted to pull this up to you guys to show you that some research, blockchain research and advisory groups here, House of Chimera, they researched into DeSci and put together a little bit of a DeSci report here. So just a little bit of attention coming to DeSci again. It just takes a long time for these people to fully research DeSci and see the value proposition, because it is such a nuanced sector. but it is, in my opinion, the safest sector within crypto just because it's got the highest long-term potential. And I just ended the poll to see that most of you guys out here are believing that Bitcoin is headed to new all-time highs. So hopefully that's what ends up actually happening. I'm curious to see what they're most focused on. A global movement to transform how research is funded, shared, and commercialized. And then we got it replaces gate-kept science with open permissionless protocols. The drawstring on my pants are all messed up. Dang it, Beagle. Dang it. Why DeSci matters is the pharma system thrives on recurring treatment, not cures. Scientists spend 80% of their time chasing grants but not solving problems. Breakthroughs go unpublished due to institutional conservatism. You guys all know this. This is what we've talked about for years. We got the guiding principles of DeSci. Origin Trail being the top market cap DeSci project, they're saying. Alchemist.ai. I've not heard of Alchemist.ai before, so that's interesting. Then Bio, then Research Coin, then Galeon, then Dynex. Dynex is definitely not one of the top projects. There's a whole litany that they missed out on here, but that's okay. Rejuve, Factor, Poseidon, and then Riff. Like, we know Riff is not one of the top DeSci projects as a function of market cap, but you guys go off, guys. Go off. Where DeSci makes an impact. Yeah. All the normal stuff we're used to. More exciting news. Bio is now live on Binance Wallet. So people with a Binance Wallet can now go buy Bio. Join new DeSci launches on Bio and use DeSci products directly in Binance Wallet. To celebrate, we're giving away Bio and brand new Bio swag. Let's go. Now I can comfortably shill to my community. Bullish Vibra. Damn it, it's not Vibra, it's Vibra. I don't know why I want to call it Vibra. To celebrate, we're giving away Bio and a brand new Bio swag. How to win? Like and reply to Binance announcement below. Tag Bio plus your favorite Bio DAO. Rules. The deadline is June 23rd, so they already did it. How long was this? This was a 3-day post. Oh, so I'm just very late to it. I don't know why they reposted it then. But it's live. It's been live for about a week now, and price has gone down. So W Binance. Can you talk about Decipher Fund? Sure. Decipher Fund. Swarm of AI agents and decentralized crowdfunding for science. So I've not done any research into them, but their token goes live next week on Tuesday. Right after TGE, we're opening staking pools for 30, 60, and 90 days. You'll need a stake to access the upcoming dual launches with Seedify. We're introducing a tier system. The more DeSci you stake, the higher your tier. Your tier will determine how much you can invest in upcoming projects. The exact staking threshold for each tier will be announced after launch. Next week, no exact date. All right, Jackson, why are you freaking out so much? Totally agree. Staking early can lead to more investment opportunities. Stay Decipher. Oh, why so late? Time to Decipher. DeSci next meta. Looks like they got a bunch of small accounts out here talking about them, so good for Decipher. It'll be interesting, definitely worth paying attention to just because it's new, exciting activity going on in the market. You always want to stay up to date on the new and exciting things that are in the market just because that's where the attention usually goes, is in the exciting stuff. But apparently you can launch your research with Decipher Fund. They're in the alpha version. Select your agents. This is pretty cool. The research agent, the patents, collaboration, funding, legal. Website's not really working right now. The launchpad's coming soon. Interesting. I can see the potential here. If they got a fleet of agents all specialized in each of these departments, they can just grow this and grow the fleet over time. And it seems that they've created a cool looking dashboard here to be able to work with. So potentially worth watching. Another thing that popped up on my radar a couple days ago, actually, and then I saw the Telegram talking about it here today, is the DeSci Atoms page. So DeSciAtoms.com, you got basically the bubble map here for DeSci projects. Don't worry, I requested that they put Bill on this, and hopefully they do. We got, yeah, a little interesting new website that launched, and they have their own token. I think it was Datum or something like that. Actually, I put it on my watch list, so let's just go to the watch lists. I just tossed it in here so I could keep an eye on them. D-Atoms. Chilling at a $19,000 market cap. It has already had that capitulation looking thing. They launched literally yesterday. So DeSci Atoms, brand new to the space. They launched on Solana. I can see the potential. I can see the potential. A dashboard to track the DeSci space and some more intuitive metrics here. So, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Anyone seen this one yet? Anyone buy the token yet? It's such a small market cap right now that I could see it doing something. Even a 10x just gets it to $250,000, which would be pretty cool. Put it back up to all-time highs, basically. You can get 1% for $200, so. Become a mega whale. 128 holders, blah, 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 blah. Let's check out the bubble maps. Getting holders. The top 80 holders. All right, so we got this guy as a chain. Yeah. I don't know. This guy's got $1,000 in it. Owns 3% of the supply for less than $1,000. Pretty cool. All right. 1 minute ago. One of you guys already bought it, didn't you? I'm just kidding. Am I? Let's go see who it is. Pump, dump, and lock. We prefer pop, drop, and lock it, but I hear ya. Is this not? One soul worth. Well, this is definitely not the correct account. That's $11 million. It would be crazy. So this guy does not look like an avid DeSci person. Got a random wallet here with Olivia. Is this other creator bid token that just launched? That's not what I wanted. I wanted to copy the address, go to Dex Screener. I saw a creator bid token just launch. Oh, there's a token Moon. Nope, this is not it. Okay. All right. Yes. Let's keep going. Interestingly enough, the next thing I was going to talk about, I think, was Decipher. No, it wasn't. I just had that on. We got Proof of Talk. So they held an event here. The #1 networking event in Web3, powered by X Ventures Fund, according to their bio. With 7,000 followers, they held a DeSci panel with Research Hub, Genomes DAO, Molecule, and it was moderated by Alice, Crypto3, the head of research. And then they tagged CoinMarketCap as well. But it was definitely an interesting panel. They had a lot of bright minds on the panel, so that was good to see. It got some exposure. They were talking about there are scientists who care more about being cited in Nature than about actually producing reproducible science. So a massive, massive problem in the academic space. Again, we talk about it all the time. It's the reproducibility crisis. Putting things on chain means that you actually get to see the entire progress of the research from start to finish. So therefore, you can't hide mistakes. You can't hide things that you try and falter in traditional science, which is an actual problem. People will literally fudge their numbers, make up results in order to get it published, in order to make it look more real than it actually is, which down the line implicates everything, because someone else will cite that research as a reason as to why they did something a certain way. And if that research was faulty, then it's just a big problem. You guys get the whole vicious cycle there for sure. I think Beagle brought it up last week, but Claw says their supplement may be the first to go to human trials in the DeSci space. Let's go. You guys know I'm a big fan of Claw. I believe it's from PsiDAO, right? Or no, it's from Cerebrum DAO. Is it? Yeah. Claw MIDI Fidel. Go ahead and like that. They all have their own pages, so follow these guys. Just like you guys should if you're here. Follow, like, bam, bam, bam. Let's go over to Claw. IP token number 124 or 129. A $200,000 market cap right now with only $270 worth of volume. So definitely a small micro cap. If it actually goes to human trials, then it will absolutely skyrocket, because that is a milestone that usually takes billions of dollars to get to. And so if we can see a DeSci project get there this year, hopefully this quarter, we'll see some crazy price movement in all of these IP tokens as people wake up to them finally. Again, I know I've been saying it repeatedly for months, and we've only seen these tokens go down for months. But these are some of the highest potential ROIs in all of crypto. It is, in my opinion, some of the safest with the same type of upward momentum that meme coins have. However, these are backed by actual science with progress reports that come out on the regular. So if you are in DeSci, you should be paying attention to the IP tokens. Didn't LinkedIn CEO endorse them on Twitter? Who? Nico. Who are you talking about? I've mentioned way too many different people out there. Vibra says, Cubic is my most bullish AI play. The founder is goated. His other two projects were top 3 ICOs. Rumors he founded Monero, which Cubic actively mines. It's crazy how much they are building under the radar. Yeah, I've not spent any time focused on Cubic. We looked into them a long time ago. They're sitting down here at $170 million market cap. WC90. Thank you, Zaj. Sitting down at $170 million market cap. They have definitely come up a little bit from the lows down here back in March. Let's see on the log scale so we can see it a little bit better. I want to actually pull it up. Let's see if TradingView has it. I know they will, but let's get more in depth. Gate or MEXC? Let's go Gate. Mistake. This is the weekly time frame. Let's go to the daily time frame. So they're range bound right now. It looks like they're ranging a little bit lower than they previously ranged, which is not the best case scenario, right? You see that range over here versus the range over here. So they are definitely ranging a little bit lower than last time. However, they are already up pretty substantially from the lows here. All-time low down here, they're up 100%. It's a decently sized market cap. Kind of reminds me of what Data Lake looks like. So seeing them skyrocket back to all-time highs would not be that surprising. 250% gains. If we could see quantum computing get a bit of a breakout, people might get very fearful of quantum algorithms being hacked and then get into chains like Cubic. if I'm recalling Cubic correctly. AI training and quorum-based computational systems. Let's go to their website. Cubic.org. Fastest blockchain ever. We've all heard that one before. AGI by 2027 is a crazy claim. So I like the idea of these things, and on paper they sound like they'd be really good plays. However, the market is super saturated for L1s. It's insanely saturated, it's super competitive, and you have to have a disgusting amount of money to market to get users. That's the end game, is you market to get users to use and build on top of your protocol. That's basically it. That's like, if you're an L1, that's your end game. And there's really no competing with Polkadot with the amount of money that they spend on marketing. And even Polkadot's not really doing that great. The tech's cool, but it's really difficult for me to get behind L1 blockchains. With that being said, they can go crazy. We've seen them before. It just may not be this cycle that they go crazy. They're going to be the biggest Monero miners. It's game changing. Let's go. I hope they do well. I really do. And for safety wise, it's probably a pretty safe bet. But if I'm going to be honest, if I'm going to buy into stuff like this, I would rather just buy Bitcoin. Crazy big market cap. Crazy big for a coin that is supposedly in DeSci, but I've never heard of before. Cubic BTC, not here. Cubic total value locked. Shall we check this out? Yeah, I mean, look at the TVL. Hopefully when they start mining Monero it changes, but look at how much of a drop that's taken. Sus. Cryptopreneur back in the house. Let's go. Look, I gave you TIG and it 20x'd in days. Pay attention to JPMD, still on Dex Tools, on base. Let's check it out. You did, in fact, give us TIG right as they rocketed. We'd been watching TIG, but not made a single move on it just because it was bleeding, and then it skyrocketed. So let's check out JPMD, JP Morgan dollar. All right, so a bit of a meme coin here. Chilling at a $550,000 market cap. It would be crazy if we got some interesting news out about a JP Morgan dollar. I could see this thing skyrocketing. But pure gamble. JP Morgan partners with Ethereum L2 base to launch JPMD, a USD deposit token for institutional clients. Hell yeah. Altcoin daily. That's cool. That's crazy. I don't know how I missed that about a week ago, 10 days ago. Is this the correct one? There's no way. If this is actually it, why is it just chilling down at 500,000? Why is this, if this is actually the same thing, if this is real, I imagine it's probably a meme coin. If it's real and it's chilling at $500,000 market cap, we got a problem. We got a problem. Okay, it's a meme. Good. All right, good. Because I was like, why is Bill bigger than JP Morgan's dollar? But it would absolutely just be a stable coin. So this is a meme coin. Lottery ticket to get back to all-time highs. 600% gain. That's kind of all I had for you guys. We could talk about Brian Johnson aging like crazy and going to jail. Yes, this is Liver King, aka Dark Brian Johnson. He just got arrested for threatening Joe Rogan. I know you guys know who Liver King is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fun live stream. You guys have anything else while you have me for the next 10 minutes or so to ask or have us pull up to talk about or view? Any charts, any new projects you've been paying attention to, anything of interest? I'd be more than happy to talk about it here for the end of the live stream. Otherwise, I'm going to go eat some breakfast. L for Liver Queen, I know. Big L for Liver Queen. If we go look at, I don't want to be on Pyth here. If we go look at some of the TradFi markets out here, we have AMD starting to put in a crazy bull run. Definitely something I think everyone should be paying attention to. Much smaller than NVIDIA, but growing nonetheless, and crazy undervalued in my opinion. We got a crazy undervalued semiconductor play, or just GPU play for AI. So as AI expands, we're gonna need a lot more GPUs, even more than what we thought we initially needed, because of the diminishing returns of compute power versus training these models. So everyone's just getting crazy data centers, and AMD just launched a brand new line of chips. So absolutely worth paying attention to if you're in the TradFi markets. I'm a big fan of AMD. Also, Google. I know it's not DeSci related at all, but Google here, a crazy undervalued play. I think right now, from my understanding, Google is the cheapest price to earnings it has ever been in the history of the stock. And let's not forget that Google is the inventor of the transformer model behind artificial intelligence. So all the GPTs you see out there are generative pre-trained transformers. Transformer is the infrastructure for the LLMs, and Google invented it. If you go use Google's Gemini platform, it is substantially better than ChatGPT. I've been using it for a while now, and it is crazy powerful, Google Gemini. And yet their stock is trading for a pretty sizable discount compared to where it historically trades. It doesn't really go through dips all that often. So getting in it on any of these dips seem to be a pretty good bet. And yeah, I know it's huge. The biggest market cap we've ever talked about here on the page, but it is what it is. Google Trends showing Bitcoin search at all-time lows. I've seen a bunch of people talking about that lately, or not super lately, but Google Trends, you go look at Bitcoin. Crazy how little people care about Bitcoin. The 5 years, yeah. Just shows you we are at a good point in Bitcoin right now. It's nothing compared to the 2020 and 2021 cycle, right? Where we were just putting in those all-time highs. We are down at some pretty low levels here for people interested in Bitcoin. I'm surprised it's not much higher in Texas because of the legislation that just passed. They just allowed for Texas to hold on to Bitcoin in a strategic reserve. So pretty cool. Crypto is probably even lower. Yeah, even less people care about crypto right now. Crazy that Coinbase is such a low search term right there, considering the stock has been going nuts. You know what else has been going nuts? The stock looks like it's just about to break out to all-time highs here, which is super bullish for us. Also, the hood, Robinhood up at $84 per share right now. They just did an initiative where if you transfer over your crypto funds to Robinhood, they will give you a 1% match. And if they hit $500 million in transfers, they will double that match to 2%, which is actually drawing a lot of people to transfer their funds to Robinhood, which is pretty cool. Free money. And it is really just adding fuel to Robinhood's stock here. I would like to own this, but I'm not owning it until after we go through a recession. So after we go through a recession, whether that's next year, the year after, whenever it is, we're likely due for a recession anytime now here in the next couple of years. You guys know my stance on it, so I don't want to bore you to death with it. But after that is when I would likely get into Robinhood, because I could see this thing dropping by like 80% pretty easily. Might be a better move to invest in companies like Circle instead of alts. Yeah. Circle going through a little pullback right now, but look at that chart. Beautiful, just pure uptrend. Only been around for this month, and it's already up like 800%, something crazy. Did you hear anything back from Molecule on Cymark? No, I did not. I'd bet the MNAV on Google is still higher than my IQ though. Oh, poor C90. That's not true, buddy. That can't be true. Robinhood, Netflix, Amazon are nice shots for next 5 years. Yeah, Google, dude, I'm telling you, Google right now, people think because of the search trends going from Google to just ChatGPT, people think that Google's entire business model is about to be destroyed. I don't think that's true in the slightest. People are still going to use Google, and literally just like you go look up anything right on Google, and if it's something that AI can answer easily, what is the weather tomorrow? Like they have their AI stuff that's already up here. That's not a good one. They have their AI overview. So they have AI search already integrated into it. And then like I was saying, Google Gemini is strong AF, especially if you want image gen or VO, their video generation model. It's crazy. Google, I think, is still going to grow and just eat market share. But people are like, Google's the next IBM. I disagree with that full-heartedly. Even if it is. This is what they're talking about though, this period right here. When IBM had the crazy rally like Google, right? It just went straight up over several decades from 10 bucks up to 120, and then just went sideways for several decades. Like you could have bought it in January 2020 for the same price that people paid for it in March of 1999. So that's what they're saying Google is, but I don't think that's going to be the case at all. Netflix, on the other hand, literally can't be stopped right now. Netflix will not be stopped right now. Look at that. That is the craziest uptrend I've seen on anything. All right, guys, your time is your most valuable asset. Hopefully this was worth investing into. I appreciate you guys being here with me, and we will be back tomorrow for a Fitness Friday live stream. All right, guys,